All right, everyone. So we have another video here from Seth, and this one is, I guess you could say, a follow-up to a video that he did before, which we did react to, called Goku versus Saitama. Now, this is coming to us after the events of the One Punch Man manga. Now, as of the recording of this video, the most recent arc, the Monster Hunter Garou Arc, or at least I think that's what it's called, either that or the Monster Association arc. It's one of the two, I forget which one, but it basically centers around Garou, the hero hunter. That arc just recently concluded as of the recording of this video. Now, by the time you guys see this video, the arc will have already been long over, and I'm hoping that you guys will have already caught up with the manga. But just in case you haven't, this video will obviously contain spoilers for the One Punch Man manga. So if you are not caught up, please do not watch this video, because I do not want to spoil it for you, because I do think that you should read the manga for yourself and not have it be spoiled for you. So with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and watch this video and see what, you know, Seth has to say with everything that we know about Saitama, again, with the most recent chapters. I think chapter 168, or chapter 168 and chapter 169, everything that we know from those two chapters. And I think, yeah, you can include chapter 167 in there too. We got to see a lot of crazy things from Saitama. We got some information we didn't have before, and it's interesting to see how that's going to factor into this versus battle, and how he's going to argue as to who would win, Goku versus Saitama. So we're gonna go ahead and watch the video, and before we do, please, you guys know what to do. Leave a like, share this video out there, make sure to subscribe if you're new, ring the bell for notifications, make sure to click on all notifications to be notified if I ever post a new video, because YouTube's notification system is still kind of broken. And comment down below with your thoughts. Who do you think would win now between Goku and Saitama? Let me know your thoughts, and please, guys, just try not to spoil anything, or if you are going to, if the argument you want to make, it needs spoilers for the actual manga, or you need to talk about what happened in the manga, just let people know that this comment is going to contain spoilers, just so someone doesn't accidentally have it spoiled for them who hasn't caught up with the manga yet. So just go ahead and do that. I'm sure most of you would, because I think most of you do not want to actually spoil the manga for anyone else. And also, if you have any recommendations you want me to watch, if there's any video you want me to react to and give my thoughts on, just let me know about it in the comment section down below. And again, guys, please do not link it, because YouTube removes links from the comments. So just make sure to tell me the title of the video and the name of the channel that I can find it in. With all that out of the way, let's go ahead and watch the video. Oh, sorry, one more thing. I keep forgetting to include this. Check the description for links to this video as well as Seth's channel, so you can head on over there, subscribe, and go show him some support. And do that with every other content creator we react to here on this channel.
June 5th, 2021, I uploaded Goku vs. Saitama, The Honest Truth, in which I gave my honest opinion on the scaling of Goku and Saitama and compared them, what I thought of the entire argument, etc. We went over Saitama being an endgame level protag at the start of his story, and how he had a lot more to show us in the future. The conclusion of that video was that, unfortunately, at the time, Saitama had not shown enough for us to really concretely say, for 100% certainty, what his maximum strength was. And Goku, at the moment, had shown more powerful things.
Which, again, it's actually interesting you brought that up, because that's something that I already gave you the spoiler warning at the beginning of the video, is that we do actually have an answer to that, as to how strong is Saitama. And we actually got some very interesting information. I think it was in chapter 168, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I think it was in 168 where we got that answer. No, I think it was 169, if I remember correctly. Either that or maybe 168. Yeah, maybe it was 168. Yeah, I think it was 168.
But as of the writing of this video on August 15th, 2022, Saitama has in fact shown his true strength against an opponent known as Cosmic Fear Garou. This is the manga adaptation of the webcomic battle, but now with massively higher feats.
Yeah, the interesting thing about reading this fight is that you realize just how different it was from the manga, because there are some things that Murata did in this fight that was absolutely just crazy, just absolutely crazy. Even though I know that one who wrote the original story is actually working on the like this version of the manga, like he is actually working on it. It's not something that's from Murata himself.
Scaling, lore, implications, and so on than the original. So, to answer the title of this video, yes, everything has in fact changed. One thing I want to preface with this video is I'm not making this to dunk on any fandom or be too crazy with this update video. These days it seems like I'm kind of in everyone's head when it comes to Goku versus Saitama, and whether it's people that love my opinion or even despise it. It seems they both equally want to hear what I have to say about the new chapters of One Punch Man.
Okay, so sorry, 169 was the, I guess you could say, the conclusion of that fight. So yeah, I think, oh yeah, it was 167 and 168. That's when the main things happened in the fight between Garou and Saitama. Okay, yeah, 169 was, I guess you could say, like the conclusion of that. Okay, so yeah, I just remembered.
And how it applies to my previous works. Some people even going as so far as to say that me not talking about it is a huge problem. I think the most titanic change to the debate at the moment concerning Goku versus Saitama is it seems that one-shots everyone because it's funny argument people have been running has been severely crippled by the new chapters, with Saitama having an actual serious full-power battle against Garou, and not only meeting someone who could reach and understand his level, but having to become stronger to defeat Garou mid-fight, implying he wasn't strong enough to one-shot him whenever he wanted to at that point of growth. The fight also, while having some comedic moments such as Saitama kicking away hyperspace gates or farting back to the battlefield, was overall much more serious in tone. With Saitama,
you know, it's interesting because okay, maybe I shouldn't have that be on screen because I don't want to get demonetized. Or you know what, whatever. I'll just edit it out. I'll put like the sticker thing over it, so it's not really showing. So there you go. But yeah, this whole thing I thought was funny because I think I remember. Yeah, I think I remember. I can't remember if it was one or Murata who did talk about that in an interview. Like, what would happen if Saitama gets thrown in space? I think he said that he would just like serious fart his way back to back to Earth. I always thought that was funny, and he actually put it in the manga.
Back to the battlefield was overall much more serious.
But yeah, to add to his point, yeah, it's interesting because people are still doing the whole like it's a gag manga. It's not really meant to be taken seriously. Well, I mean, I don't necessarily think that's true because, yeah, there are gag moments. There are some moments where it's kind of like taking the piss out of shonen manga and, you know, shonen tropes that we're so used to seeing from the genre. But overall, I think there are moments that are meant to be taken seriously, you know? I mean, even though, like, for example, this whole fight, like Saitama's fighting naked, and it's like, yeah, it is kind of funny when you think about it. Like, he's on one of Jupiter's moons. He's not wearing any protective clothing whatsoever. Like Garou, you can kind of understand because he's like been powered up by cosmic energy, so his body isn't normal. All right, fine. But Saitama, it's like whatever power he has allows him to do things that normal humans just are not capable of doing. Like, you know, being on Jupiter's moon without wearing any clothes and somehow being able to breathe, somehow being able to talk. It's like, yeah, it's obvious that Saitama is not normal. I mean, I think that was kind of obvious from the very first chapter. But again, it's like it would, yeah, if it was just a straight gag manga and Saitama was just meant to be like a joke on, or he's not really meant to be taken seriously. That's why you're not supposed to think about how Saitama can breathe in space, how he can speak in space, even how he can like how he can just exist in space without any clothes whatsoever and treat it as if it's normal. Yeah, in a gag manga you wouldn't think about this because, like I said, it's a gag manga. It's not meant to be taken seriously. But I think that where One Punch Man is, in my opinion, is that it's in that area where, yeah, it has comedic moments, but it's also a story that's meant to be taken seriously. And I think that that actually is a credit to, I think, one, because like trying to pull that off is not easy in my opinion. like trying to make a series that is like at its heart a comedy series but is still meant to be taken serious. Like it, like you as an audience member or as a reader in this case, you immediately know like, okay, this is when it's supposed to be taken seriously, you know. And in my opinion, that's not really easy to pull off, because like sometimes when it gets to the comedic moments, it's so outlandish, it's so ridiculous, that when you have a moment that's meant to be taken seriously, like later on in the series you have Saitama trying to have a conversation about you know, about how he, you know, shouldn't really be called a hero because he's not really there, and he's not ever really in time to stop the bad things from happening. He's always late. And you know, normally if it's like supposed to be a straight comedy series, it can feel a little jarring, but One Punch Man, in my opinion, does such a good job of properly transitioning from comedy to serious, and it lets you know that. Another series I think does that really well is Dragon Ball with Toriyama. Like he's someone else who's mastered this art, in my opinion, where you know, you can smoothly transition from comedy to serious moments, and it doesn't feel jarring in any way, shape, or form. Like it doesn't feel noticeable. It's only noticeable when you actually think about it, you know. And I know I went on a bit of a long tangent. I don't want to pause too much because this is a 21-minute video, and if I do what I just did here, the video that you guys are watching will probably it'll probably be over an hour long. I can talk. Let's go back to the video.
Serious in tone, with Saitama being stated by the narrator to actually be so emotional that it's increasing his powers as he fights. Fun fact about that farting back to the fight moment, by the way, did you know that a long time ago, Murata, the artist of One Punch Man, was actually asked what would have happened if Boros kicked Saitama into space, but he didn't slam into the moon, and it was actually said that Saitama probably would have just farted back to Earth or something. So that scene was actually kind of a pretty funny callback, and very Murata-esque for those that—
Yeah, it's again, just as a reminder, Murata is the artist, he's not the author. One is still the one who's writing it. Kind of funny. One is technically still writing the story. He's the one who created the story, and Murata is just adapting it into this manga because he's the one who created the story originally with a webcomic.
That keep up with all the interviews. The only other argument people have now for Saitama being a limitless, omnipotent god one-shot character is that while fighting Garou, Garou states he has limitless power and limitlessly grows stronger. However, this limitless is clearly not some level of omnipotence or above fiction level power, and the limitlessly growing stronger statement we actually see being highly linear and quantifiable when shown on an actual graph. Others have pointed out that some of these lines are actually mistranslated, with the Ra's more so being Garou just calling Saitama very strong, etc., which probably makes more sense. Saitama growing stronger during fights, of course, doesn't mean he can one-shot anybody in fiction either, and even within Dragon Ball, such as Broly, who goes from the likes of base Vegeta to requiring a fusion of both Goku and Vegeta and Super Saiyan Blue to defeat in probably a matter of minutes. Even Super Saiyan 1 through 3 is a 400 times difference by itself, with then Super Saiyan God being able to one-shot Super Saiyan 3, and Blue being over 50 times stronger than Super Saiyan God, due to just literally being Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, with their fusion being their power levels quite literally just multiplied together, which exceeded over 3 million even back during the Namek saga.
So I feel like, yeah, I feel like that's going to be the argument that most people are going to make in Saitama's favor, where, you know, according to, again, I think it was chapter 168. Yeah, it was chapter 168 where it was revealed that, you know, according to Garou, like the reason why he's having trouble beating Saitama is even though he copies his powers, because Saitama is now meeting someone who's on his level, and that's kind of forcing Saitama to, or it's allowing Saitama to grow in power. But the problem is that the rate at which Saitama grows in power is exponentially faster than what Garou can copy. So at some point, it's like because okay, let's go back to the graph that he showed just to help illustrate my my point. Let me see if I can find it. Where is it? Yeah, here we go. Okay, so at some point it's like Saitama's here, Garou is here, and if Garou does what he's been doing, where he copies his power and Garou makes it here, Saitama will be, let's say, over here. And if Saitama's here and Garou is still here. Even Garou said it himself. If he takes even one hit from this Saitama, not this one, like Saitama here, you know, from here to here, then it will kill him. Like Garou wouldn't even have the opportunity to copy him. Like even Garou himself says, it's like, okay, this dude, I can't beat this guy. I absolutely cannot defeat this dude. Okay, that's why he tries to find other ways to defeat him, which is to like send him away in space. I think in one point in chapter 168, he even tries to throw him into the sun, and it doesn't work. And I think that this is what people are going to try to use as an argument in Saitama's favor, which is that, you know, if he fights Goku, eventually he'll grow strong to the point where he's on Goku's level, and if Goku increases his power, then Saitama will just increase his power. But I think that the difference is that Garou from the beginning wasn't really stronger than Saitama. He was on Saitama's level to the point where Saitama can't just one-shot him, but he was still relatively, you could say, on Saitama's level because he was copying his power, or at least the power that Saitama was showing at the time. So if Saitama, let's say, goes up against someone who, for example, far exceeds him in power, like again, Dragon Ball characters right now are like multiversal level characters. I think we already established that in a previous video you guys will have already watched by now, the Cell Max video. So if Saitama goes up against someone like that, one hit from them should probably kill him, because he wouldn't even have the opportunity to grow stronger. You see what I mean? So yeah, again, it's interesting because we don't really know. And also, like, Dragon Ball characters even said it himself, like they grow in power too during fights. So if they go up against someone like Saitama who's incredibly strong, they'll be able to grow strong in order to match up to him, because it's established that Saiyans grow stronger as they fight.
Dragon Ball Z, let alone Super. You can see why Broly's increase is actually pretty insane and a bit more impressive than the likes of Saitama and growing a few times stronger on this graph. Now, you might be thinking that, well, Broly kind of did overpower Goku, so what's the issue? Well, we need to get into how strong Saitama actually is now for me to explain why, and I'm more so just getting this he grows stronger forever thing out of the way in advance. Last time we went over how strong Saitama was, his main form of grounded scaling based on feats actually performed in the series was centered around Lord Boros. To remind you, Boros was capable of launching Saitama at the moon at the speed of light or faster, and was capable of either A, blasting the surface off the planet using the webcomic statements with his full power, B, capable of destroying the planet using the anime statements or confirmation from the data books and One Punch Man Blu-ray's Compass Guide, or C, capable of destroying entire stars, as based on or implied by, once again, the compass. Which, while it uses the same word for Boros' power in the Raws as planet or star, Hoshi, it says that Boros in base form can destroy planets as well, so the translator made his limit broken form translate to star, as he should probably be stronger or do something different than his base form. With these current chapters of One Punch Man, Boros being able to destroy stars no longer seems like the higher ball interpretation, and even when Saitama could one-shot that attack anyway with a serious punch. Cosmic Fear Garou was capable of manifesting Saitama's strength, and thus able to trade serious blows with an arguably bloodlusted Saitama and beyond his normal full powers. During these clashes, Bang has to get help from interdimensional fighters to transport...
Well, that wasn't Bang, that was Blast.
...the results of their clash far into space, or else the Earth would have been vaporized. This clash is then shown making a massive cluster, or at least millions of stars in the background, seem to vanish, making even the harshest skeptics now on board with Saitama being able to either obliterate many solar systems to possibly multiple galaxies, depending on who you ask. With the added punch of Garou, there are some detractors for this, claiming that he only obliterated the light of the stars, and the stars were shown unharmed in later panels, and blah blah blah. But for this video, I don't want to seem like I'm trying to downplay Saitama or try to make it even seem remotely so. For this video, we'll be granting him that feat in full, no matter how debatable some may think it is.
Well, it's interesting because for me, I always thought it was more so the energy from that attack, like sort of force these stars to move to the side, and that's why you got an entire void where there's just nothing. Like I've always seen it as like the stars themselves weren't actually destroyed, or the energy moved so fast that it actually managed to destroy them. I've always seen it as it's just like it created this void because these stars that were there were just forced to move to the side. Like that's what the energy blast did. At least that's how I've always kind of seen it.
No matter how debatable some may think it is. So not only does Saitama possibly obliterate tons of solar systems or even many galaxies, but he then grows many times stronger after this, meaning not only does he eventually gain the ability to easily do this feat on his own, even without Garou, but the ability to do many times more than this on his own. This is very impressive, giving Saitama finally some empirical weight to his abilities outside of speculation that can finally really be compared to other fictional series. Especially since this is confirmed Saitama's maximum, and if anything, beyond his maximum. If you were to throw this Saitama in, say, the Dragon Ball Cell games, he would more than likely easily blow that whole tournament away with ease. Well, not accounting maybe for speed, but we'll get into that soon. Cell, a being who could vaporize and blow away solar systems, and made some beings think he was going to destroy, potentially, the whole universe in some translations. Now, while this is probably over time, you would be very surprised at how some people think Cell could actually destroy the universe in one attack, with statements of him having infinite power and so on even being stated. And I think it's pretty safe to say Saitama is stronger than Cell for the most part.
Well,
from there, even in the next...
the thing about that is, I think this is just like typical hyperbole you're used to seeing from series that are from Japan, in manga and anime, because they're like being hyperbolic is always part of the marketing. It's meant to get you hyped up, like, oh, Cell has infinite omnipotent power, even though he doesn't actually have omnipotent power. It's just meant to get you excited. It's meant to get you hyped up. That's why every time there's a Dragon Ball movie now, they always say the strongest opponent the heroes have ever faced. It's all part of the marketing. It's meant to get you hyped up. At least that's how I've always seen this. Although the solar system statement that Cell made in his like when he was charging up his Kamehameha against Gohan, I think that's more likely accurate, because I don't think anyone at that point was really universal level. I don't think it wasn't until the Buu arc when they were getting close to being as strong as that. And then of course you go into Battle of Gods, where you bring in the deities and you've got universal level beings, and then characters constantly surpassing that level of power, which would make them multiversal. So it wasn't until there that you could say that yeah, they had probably like at least a shit ton of power in order to be able to like wipe out a universe in one go. I don't think they were there yet. I think over time, yeah, he would have been able to destroy the universe, but as opposed to being able to immediately wipe out a universe with his power, I don't think Cell was there. Like, again, maybe over time, who knows?
Of him having infinite power and so on, Tama is stronger than Cell for the most part. From there, even in the next saga, the Buu saga, we don't really see feats or statements.
Also, again, just in case you're new to the channel and you don't know, and why I keep the volume low is because I can hear the music in the background. Even though I can tell it's like a remix, like not the original version, I still don't want to take the chance, because like YouTube, when it comes to music, is almost impossible to fight against. I'm sorry. Like if I knew I had a chance to fight against the claim, which would stop the video from even being able to be uploaded, then I would. But as of now, you can't. So I gotta take some precautions.
Statements on par with what Saitama did, really, until the ending of the Fusion saga, or if you use the anime version of the Buu saga, where we see Majin Buu ripping apart galaxies, and where people debate if Kid Buu could have destroyed the whole universe very quickly. Goku calls it a poof. In the anime canon, which yes, the anime is canon, we see Vegito, the fusion of Goku and Vegeta, fight against Majin Buu with Ultimate Gohan absorbed.
Sorry, go back a second. I need to see that again. I consider TV animation to be in one dimension. With the manga, I have what I call canon, which is the TV series and the original printed comic edition works that are directly tied into continuity. Okay, so Toriyama himself is saying that the anime and the manga are both within the same continuity. Although I don't necessarily think that's the case anymore. I think, yeah, in a recent interview, he even said that, you know, like when it comes to the movies, and then you've got the anime, and this is in regards to Dragon Ball Super, not the Dragon Ball manga. But with Super, you've got the movies, you've got the anime, you've got the manga. I think he even said it himself in an interview. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a while since I've seen it, where he said that, you know, I consider the movie to be sort of in continuity with itself, sort of kind of confirming there's like three different continuities. Like I said, the manga, uh, the anime, and of course we've got the movies. Now, in the manga, they did reference the Broly movie, and we still don't know whether the anime, when it comes back, they're going to adapt the Broly movie, like Toriyama's original 3-hour script, which got cut down to, like, I think it was like an hour and a half, if I remember correctly, or an hour and 45 minutes. Yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, okay, so with the Dragon Ball manga, the anime and uh the anime and the manga are, I guess, canon to each other. Although, I don't know. Again, it's always interesting when you talk about canon when it comes to manga, because a lot of people see the original. Like the manga is the source material. That's kind of obvious, and then you've got the anime, which is an adaptation of the manga. You know, the original source material. But if the creator themselves say that's, you know, the anime is also like part of the same canon as the manga, then I mean, what are you going to do? It's straight from the author, even though I may not necessarily agree with it. But all right, let's go back.
Vegeta fight against Majin Buu with Ultimate Gohan absorbed, and while enraged, Majin Buu Ultimate Gohan absorbed screamed so hard that it sent shockwaves that begun to rip apart the entire living universe, and was going to spread across the whole universe, and then crush said universe with alternate dimensions. Yeah, just by yelling really hard. As an example, Super Buu and Gotenks, who are vastly superior to Cell, screaming as hard as they could only open a small portal between dimensions. And here is Buon doing that on a scale as large as the entire universe. And then you can begin to see why Saitama's new feats start to look a little bit smaller and more questionable. Buhan even harnesses this universe-destroying power when he calms down later, and Vegito still bullies him with zero difficulty. Then with Battle of Gods, Super Saiyan God Goku then surpasses even a hypothetical Super Saiyan 3, 8 times stronger, time skip Vegito, with him and then a heavily suppressed God of Destruction Clashing Fist, then going to annihilate not just the universe, but a massive macrocosm stated to be infinite in size multiple times, with the macrocosm consisting of a planet as big as the universe, within a sky so big that heaven vanishes. That's right, the macrocosm of Dragon Ball, at least Universe 7, is so big a possible infinite universe can fit inside of it, and be so small compared to the entire thing, it actually vanishes when compared to the full thing. With Goku and Beerus then clashing fist, just like full power Saitama and Garou, but instead of making some stars disappear, they make every star disappear, all of time-space disappear, and multiple universe-sized bodies disappear, as the entire macrocosm, as stated by the narrator, would become nothing. And this would include infinity as well, as it is infinite in size. Considering, of course, we are not just saying limitless or infinite just mean very great, as obviously One Punch Man fans like to interpret infinity and limitless and those types of terms as true infinity, so we might as well just take Goku's infinity and stretch it to the utmost, right? And of course, all of these things Goku and Beerus does are not at full power. This is all common knowledge, but it is not really nailed into people's heads enough, and I don't think if they think what Saitama did is even comparable. From here, the next argument is that Saitama can grow stronger, so eventually he'd just reach Goku's level. Not only is this feat already on a level of infinity and beyond on some Buzz Lightyear already, but people underestimate how much stronger Goku actually is than this. This is the start of Dragon Ball Super.
Exactly. Like I mentioned, this is like, dude, Goku right now is just at a level where it's honestly crazy when you actually think about it. You know, like, dude, Dragon Ball has gotten to a point, and I think I remember saying this in a live stream. Yeah, Dragon Ball has gotten to a point where once you like say certain things out loud, like you know it in the back of your head, but once you've actually said it out loud, it actually makes you realize just how ridiculous things have gotten. Like, just to give you an example, all right, what I'm about to say may sound ridiculous to you, but it actually is true. Okay, Krillin in Dragon Ball right now would beat the shit out of Super Saiyan Goku from the Namek arc. I'm not kidding when I say this, okay? That's how insane it's gotten. Remember how strong Goku was, or how strong you thought Goku was in the Namek arc? Well, Krillin right now would beat the shit out of that version of Goku. I'm not even joking. Like, that's how crazy it's gotten. And that's just Krillin. Can you imagine how strong Goku is right now? Like, it's honestly it's honestly funny when you think about it. Again, you like that. The statement that Krillin can beat Goku is crazy. Like, everyone would think you're probably smoking something if you said that. But if you actually look at the series, it's true. It's crazy, but it is true. Like, okay, take the recent movie for example. All right, take the recent movie. Krillin at one point, and look, by now you guys should have seen the movie, so this isn't really that much of a spoiler. Okay, by now you should have seen the movie. Krillin at one point in the new Dragon Ball Super movie, Dragon Ball Super Superhero, was able to hit, like actually land a blow on Cell Max. Now, it didn't do that much damage to him, of course, but the fact that he was even able to land a blow on him, the fact that he had enough strength to actually like you can see Cell Max like be shocked or be actually be pushed back a bit by a hit from Krillin, and the fact that he was even fast enough to be able to hit him in the first place shows you how strong Krillin actually is now. Again, he's nowhere near the main cast, of course, like nobody's actually saying that. But the fact that he was able to hit him would tell you that Krillin right now would defeat Super Saiyan Goku from the Namek arc. Again, I know it sounds crazy, but it is when you actually look at the series. Like, that's how crazy Dragon Ball has gotten. It's gotten so crazy that it's actually kind of funny. So yeah, Dragon Ball characters now are just like they're at a level where it's crazy, and it's all because Dragon Ball is doing this thing where they have to or they've fallen into this trend of power cliffing where every new arc, and well, I say trend, but it's been doing this honestly since the beginning, or since I guess you could say since the Saiyan arc when Raditz first showed up. Like, it's done this thing where every new arc has to have a villain that's even stronger, and the main characters have to go through a bit of power cliffing to be able to meet up to that level. And that includes the side characters, which would actually put them above some of the main heroes from the previous arc, which is, again, crazy when you think about it, but it's true. It is what it is.
I think you can really even fathom the difference between the start and the end of Super in terms of strength. In the anime, Goku absorbs all of those massively beyond universal feats or infinite feats from Super Saiyan God, and he can basically now just do them in his normal state, being able to then multiply that power by over 400 times with Super Saiyan 3 using Super Exciting God and so on, which is actually a low ball, and then multiply further beyond that by over 50 times with Super Saiyan Blue to over 20,000 times, completely ignoring Super Saiyan God's multiplier, which was shown in Battle of Gods, even lowballing and ignoring all the training he goes throughout the whole series and so on. He can then stack Kaioken times 10 on top of that and get over 200,000 times stronger. Then in Goku vs. Hit 2, he surpasses Kaioken times 10 in his normal blue state, meaning he can grow over 2 million times stronger if he used Kaioken times 10 by that point. Then by the Tournament of Power, he can use Kaioken times 20 and go to 4 million times stronger than Battle of Gods. And then in the Tournament of Power alone, he grows thousands of times, if not hundreds of thousands of times stronger, which I prove just in this video here, as well as this possible video as well if you're interested. Then eventually
So just out of curiosity, I feel like I should probably mention this right now. If you guys want me to react to this video, again, I don't have a problem doing it, but just know this is a 5-hour video. So it's gonna take a while before you guys even see this video. And by see this video, I mean part 1, because I'm definitely gonna split it up into multiple parts. I already uploaded a video that was over 3 hours long on my channel, and that was a bitch to upload. Like seriously, when it comes to uploading long form videos, YouTube just like it can be annoying, and it would suck even more if they find, like, let's say like a 5-second clip that says this, we can't really upload it because this kind of violates whatever the fuck. So you say, okay, fine, I'll use the option that they have now where, okay, you can trim this out, but that in and of itself already takes hours. Okay, and then once that's done, then they have to go over the video again to check to see whether there's anything else that's wrong. And if they find something else, then that means you have to trim that part out, and then it takes even longer. So if you guys want me to react to this, that's fine, but just know it's going to be a while, because I'm definitely going to split it up into multiple parts. Not even like the the first hour and then the second hour. No, it's probably going to be like the first 30 minutes and then the second 30 minutes and then the third 40 minutes. So it'll probably be like 6 parts. So just to let you guys know, if you want me to react to this video, that's fine, but it's going to take a while before you guys even see it, because I'm going to react to it, edit it, and try and make sure I can upload it. And first I need to actually find the time to react to, sit down and actually react to a 5-hour video. And that's without any of my commentary, which will probably make it even longer. So I don't know, like the actual video could possibly be over, I don't know, like, I mean, with my kind of commentary, it'll probably go over like, I don't know, like 7 hours or something. Maybe even 8 hours. I don't know. We'll see.
As well as this possible video as well, if you're interested. Then eventually possibly getting another thousands of times amps with his mastered Ultra Instinct, which can shake Infinity, possibly surpass his fusion, and so on and so on. I hate to say this, but Saitama would be lucky if his anger amp even let him compare with angry Majin Buu, let alone Ultra Instinct Goku from the end of Dragon Ball Super. People really don't understand the difference, and some will argue that Goku will feel Saitama's power increasing and just let him keep getting stronger and stronger. However, we don't actually know how long Saitama can keep growing. The difference between his growth and other characters' growth is small, and as we see in Dragon Ball Super with Caulifla, Kefla, or Broly, and many others, Goku only lets this go on for so long. And if we're in character, Saitama's battle increase is mainly due to his insane emotions over Genos potentially dying. Meaning in character, he wouldn't even get this much stronger anyway. So if you're taking Saitama and Goku out of character, Saitama would never grow stronger to begin with.
Sorry guys, 1 second.
Saitama and Goku out of character, Saitama would never grow stronger to begin with. On top of the growing stronger argument not working for the most part, and actually just being headcanon, as we don't even know the real increase outside of just a few times from one fight.
Hold on.
This much stronger anyway.
Okay, so what he just said about Saitama not growing that much stronger, I will say the only thing that could possibly be used in his favor is that Saitama, we know the one thing that he wants is the one thing that he wants is like an actual fight, like an actual genuine fight. So I feel like if he were to face up against Goku, someone who could actually give him a fight and isn't like trying to kill any of his friends or whatever, I feel like the excitement from that would possibly make him stronger. That's the only scenario where I could see Saitama using the whole emotions, raising his fighting strength. But other than that, yeah, I see what he's saying. Go back to it.
To begin with, on top of the growing stronger argument not working for the most part, and actually just being headcanon, as we don't even know the real increase outside of just a few times from one fight. From here, people will desperately claim that Saitama can interact with hyperspace portals that Garou can create. Hyperspace, which I pointed out on a stream when this chapter first came out, meaning more than one dimension. Now, while Goku actually has many arguments for being higher dimensional already, such as the afterlife of Dragon Ball possibly being higher dimensional or whatever, or even beings from early Z like Garlic Jr. being able to actually make hyperspace portals and interact with it in the dead zone, it's not needed. As Garou and Saitama agree, they already attack in 3 dimensions after this, and they are simply making a portal to go places rather than actually kicking around 4D space or something. Of course, 4D could also just mean 3 spatial dimensions and 1 temporal dimension, and if you make a portal out of these 4 dimensions, you can travel through it. Of course, this is what our actual universe would be comprised of. And you could just then simply argue they are simply kicking around the portal that helps lead to that space. Even then, hyperspace is a massive science fiction term that many use in place of just things that are able to travel faster than light, such as how ships in many science fiction shows can leap to hyperspace to travel. The ships doing this doesn't make them higher dimensional, nor was that ever the intent,
No.
nor is interacting or generating the ability to travel or connect to hyperspace make you that strong. Many series use the word hyperspace, including Dragon Ball, and we don't ever scale it like that for many, many reasons. Interacting with dimensional portals themselves is even something Naruto can do, and many other fictions, and we never give them that benefit or that credit for doing things of that caliber. So in terms of power, no, it's probably not in Saitama's favor. But
No.
what about speed? This one is more interesting, as at the end of Saitama vs. Garou, they work together to imagine universes within themselves, and using Garou's unique makeup helps Saitama travel back in time to punch Garou before the fight even began. Of course, traveling back in time itself doesn't really mean anything, but some will claim that Saitama completely breaks the speed formula by doing so, reaching something we call immeasurable speed in the power scaling community, which is a level of speed beyond infinite speed, as speed is measured by speed equals distance divided by time. So if a character can freely move throughout time, then the speed formula wouldn't apply to them and makes them immeasurable. Both Goku and Saitama have arguments for this, with Saitama's being this time travel feat with Garou, and
So
Goku's being
just real quick about this whole thing about Saitama going back and stopping Garou before their fight even happened. I think I already did talk about this, and I'm still planning to do a video. Maybe you guys will have already seen it by the time this video comes out, where this doesn't really make a lot of sense. And with chapter 169, it's kind of implied. I mean, it's not really officially stated. It's kind of implied that there are actually like multiple timelines, where there's the timeline where the fight between Saitama and Garou happened, and then Saitama doing this kind of created a new one where the fight never happened, which for me, both of them would actually kind of be bad, because I don't like the idea that now we're in a time where the fight never actually happened, because there's a lot of character development that did happen during that fight that I thought was really good. And if you're saying that we're now in a timeline where that stuff never happened, then I don't really like that. Again, like, people might say that you probably don't like it because Saitama isn't as powerful, like all that power growth is kind of gone now. I don't care about that, because it's kind of implied that he can always get that strong, so it can always happen later on in the series, so that's fine with me, whatever. The thing that, like I said, the thing that I don't like is the fact that that character development, that character growth that Saitama went through is kind of gone, because it's not even implied, it's stated that Saitama doesn't actually remember any of that stuff, and that Genos is the only one now who even knows what happened, because somehow, some way, the core that Saitama is holding right here, it didn't like go into Genos, like it still stayed there for some weird reason. Like, that's still not really explained. The only thing I can kind of say might be happening, but then again, this is still my own headcanon, it's not like this is actually in the series, is that Saitama somehow, through using his power, was able to keep Genos safe. Like, unconsciously, he was able to protect his core from even the effects of time, which, if that's the case, then Saitama is actually a lot more broken than people think. Because if you notice, like, it's not just the core, but even that part of Saitama's gloves never got destroyed, because he wanted to protect it so much that he was probably doing things that he didn't even know he was doing, which is actually kind of crazy. But that's the only explanation I can kind of think of as to why Genos's core didn't disappear, because it's like Saitama wanted something to still exist from that time in this new one, and maybe he just wanted Genos at least to remember what happened. But I don't know, again, that's just my own headcanon. It's not like this is actually in the actual series. But yeah, again, maybe by the time you guys will see this video, that video that will have already been made, especially since now the arc is officially over with that new epilogue. I'll include that in my thoughts in the video, at least I hope.
being this time travel feat with Garou, and Goku's being fighting hit while he is skipping into the future. With Goku, it's not totally implausible, but most don't agree with it, and even if it was accepted, it would be a very low and not completely abusable level of immeasurable speed. Say someone like Superman who could sort of freely just go back in time when zooming around. However, even that is argued about. Example being, does making you go at the speed of light warp time and space and let you travel through time, etc., etc., which gives you sort of a mock immeasurable speed. Not saying Superman only does this because of light speed, but these are just examples that people bring up for many other characters. Saitama's has a much weaker argument than any of them, though, as he is clearly linking and being assisted by a being connected to the flow of the universe itself to jump through time, not just running so fast he so happens to. This would be a time travel technique, not a level of speed, and this creates a strange argument. What if Saitama, for whatever reason, decided he couldn't beat Goku in a fight, but absolutely wanted to? Could he simply travel backward in time and maybe just beat up Kid Goku or something? No, because Kid Goku's a gag character, but anyway, no, I'm joking. The only reason this is contentious is because of the way time manipulation and travel work in the Dragon Ball universe. Not only is the Dragon Ball universe potentially beyond infinitely larger than the known One Punch Man universe, but it also has many different rules. With traveling backward in time not affecting characters in the current time, but rather just creating a new timeline with only select techniques like Whis' ability making exceptions. Even then, many characters seem to have resistance to time, such as when Jiren is stated to be stronger than time against hit, and Goku seeming to be able to overpower the concept as well even much earlier. Possibly implying that the manipulation of the flow of time won't actually affect these top fighters where they are at maximum capacity, making it even more contentious. If Saitama could even somehow connect and manipulate the Dragon Ball universe, or whatever empty void they are in anyway, as of course Garou was connected with God and the flow of his universe, but in the Dragon Ball universe, or an empty neutral void, there is no void or Dragon Ball God to help Saitama or Garou understand the flow of the universe, if they even could. All in all, Saitama's current feats are either too weak, or still really too debatable to say he'd ever really 100% slam Goku. You'd really have to rely on him being a gag character, or maybe argue he's beyond a lot of concepts, and trying to argue one-shots all of fiction, and things like that, really. You can't really rely too much on feats. But I really just want to ask, when you saw Saitama bloodlusted against Garou and going full power, did that feel like a gag to you? Do you think that was made to make you laugh?
No.
Like, was that comparable to Eddie from Ed, Edd, and Eddy just kind of accidentally grabbing the sun and eating it like a potato chip? Or Arale punching Earth, then break?
Dude, I forgot about that episode. That episode was so trippy. It's like, what the hell is happening? Like, dude, weirdly enough, those characters were breaking reality before we probably even knew what reality breaking is. Like, seriously, look at this. Look at this. The dude ate the damn sun and then just turned it into the damn moon.
Or Arale punching Earth, then breaking it, only for it to come back together like nothing happened in the next frame. Or for her to pop Jupiter like a balloon. And I really gotta ask, what's more gag-like? Sneezing on Jupiter and blowing its gases around, or literally popping Jupiter like a balloon, which doesn't even make sense? Is Saitama punching Garou at full power and destroying a lot of stars somehow a really funny gag, or comparable to SpongeBob just sort of ripping apart and destroying reality on accident when he pulled on a string for too long? Or how about when Kid Goku shattered the literal manga's paneling with Yamcha's face? Or what about when Peter Griffin put two metal detectors together and time traveled to when the universe didn't even exist? Was Garou and Saitama's time travel combo funnier, or a bigger gag than Peter Griffin doing that? Probably not, well, at least not in the funny department for normal reasons. But One Punch Man is a funny series in a serious world, just as one intended, and I stand by that even today. I'd say at the moment that the current argument is if Saitama can beat Dragon Ball Z, such as the Buu Saga. I also think other debates that are really interesting is Saitama versus One Piece, Bleach, Naruto, and all of those. I'm curious what you guys think. Do you think he just stomps all of those more newer shonen series? But unfortunately, he's not quite at the absurd level or the higher level of Dragon Ball Super characters of strength quite yet. But maybe in that final God encounter, he'll reach it or even surpass it. Now, please stop making posts saying I'm ignoring the topic and get off my nuts.
All right, so that's it. But yeah, it's interesting because look, what he said at the end is like, yeah, there are people who will always use the whole it's a gag manga debate, and look, here's the thing, I don't think like One Punch Man was ever really intended to be a gag series. I think it was always just intended to be a sort of reversal of the shonen tropes you're so used to seeing for so long. Like the fact that Saitama from the beginning is already at the end of his journey, which he did bring up in the video before that we watched. And there's also the fact that, you know, like Saitama can just take out all the enemies with just one hit, with the exception of a few. And again, like that whole thing is just meant to be a play on the whole trope of, you know, instead of going through this big long battle against, you know, some of the, I guess you could say like the level 1, level 2 bosses, it isn't until he gets to the final boss that you have the big epic fight. Like for example, his fight against Boros, and then his fight against you know, Garou. It isn't until we get to those fights that you have the big epic fight, but everything leading up to that, you just beat him immediately. Almost like he is trying to say like, yeah, we know usually you see these characters going through these big epic fights and it's not even the final boss yet. So it's like, it kind of, it feels a little weird. So let's just go through all that and let's just get to the final boss already so we can have that big epic climactic fight at the end of the arc. At least that's kind of how I've always seen it. And yeah, there are comedic moments, that's true, but I don't think it was ever a moment that wasn't, or it was ever a series that was just purely intended to be a gag manga. I think that it's a manga that, like I said, it kind of like takes a lot of tropes and sort of turns it on their head, but it's still meant to be taken seriously. It's still a shonen series that just takes some of the tropes and, you know, flips them. At least that's kind of how I've always seen it. And another series I think that does that really well is Hunter x Hunter. I think that's one of the reasons why people really love these two series, is that they sort of take the tropes and don't really follow them. Instead, kind of like take the piss out of them, which is one of the reasons why so many people love them. But it's still taken seriously. Like they still want you to take the story seriously. And I think it's the same with, you know, with everything that's been happening with One Punch Man. And he even brought up a lot of examples, like the whole thing with Ed and Eddie, SpongeBob, Peter Griffin, and Family Guy. It's like those, yeah, those are comedic, those are gag series. Like that's meant to be taken funny. That's never been, those are never series that were always meant to be taken seriously. Hell, the most serious Ed and Eddie ever got was in the damn movie, and even that movie had a lot of insane gags, but there were some serious moments. A lot of people point to the moment between Ed and Double D where they had that fight where Double D just said, all right, that's it, I'm out of here, like I'm done with you guys. And that, even though it had funny moments like Ed hysterically crying, you still had Eddie like having like an actual moment, you know, being real for once. But again, like that's the most serious it's ever gotten. For the most part, it's just a comedy series. It's not meant to be taken seriously. Oh, and there's also this scene at the end with Eddie and his brother where we finally meet him and you realize, wow, this dude is kind of a jerk. But yeah, so those are just my thoughts, guys. Let me know your thoughts as always in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, please, you know what to do. Leave a like, share this video out there, hit the subscribe button if you haven't, make sure to ring the bell for notifications, click on all notifications, comment down below with your thoughts as well as any recommendations you have for me to watch and you want me to give my opinion on them. Just let me know about them right there, and check the description for links to this video as well as Seth's channel so you can head out over there, subscribe to him, and go show him some support. With that being said, guys, this video's gone on long enough. Bye for now.